of November the 21st, 2023 to order. As Deputy Mayor, I'll be chairing the meeting tonight in the absence of Mayor Grant. Please stand for the national anthem. We would like to begin this meeting by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples, acknowledging the One Bowl and Spoon Treaty. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. We'll move on into presentations. We have two presentations tonight. Kaylin Laramie and Oliver Uri are the 2023 Holiday Card Contest winners. I'd like to invite Kaylin and Oliver up to present them with a token of our appreciations for the winning contributions to the contest. Start with Kaylin, ladies first. You'll get yours. So the certificate just reads, on behalf of the members of council, we wish to extend our sincere appreciation to Kaylin Laramie, first place, for your contribution to the holiday reading contest. It's signed by Mayor Grant. You'll have to put up with me for now, but there's a picture, if you haven't seen it, and we're going to take a picture. So, is this a good spot?
Sure, yeah, perfect.
Okay. Do parents want to come up here if you like? Okay, and Oliver, I'm sure yours reads the same thing, so I won't read it, but you also have first place in your, I assume in your age category. Is that why there's two? Yeah. Okay, and there's a picture of Oliver's. Very good. Okay, we'll take a picture. You want to hold that? Look over there. Whoops. Sure. Okay, thank you. There you go. Okay. You're more than welcome to stay, but if you want to leave, you can leave at any time. Okay. All right, we'll move on to Mayor's announcements and remarks. Please note that these meeting proceedings are being broadcast live, recorded, and made available through the Township's website and youtube.com. We would like to extend our deepest gratitude to each and every one of you who joined us for the Remembrance Day ceremony this year. Your presence and participation made this occasion truly meaningful and impactful. The new House Drain Court of Revision is scheduled for tomorrow at 4 p.m. here in the council chambers. We are raising the flag for AIDS awareness on Monday, November the 27th at 11 a.m. Our next regular meeting of council is Monday. It's a little bit of a change. Monday, December 11th at 7 p.m. This will be the last regular meeting of 2023 and also Mr. Colossa's last meeting with us. Are there any announcements or remarks from members of council? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the adoption of the previous council minutes. Are there any comments, corrections for the draft minutes from the meetings listed on the agenda this evening? No, seeing none. I have a motion that the following minutes be adopted and circulated. Minutes of the regular council meeting the regular meeting of council held on November 1st, 2023. Meetings of the special meeting of council, minutes of the special meeting of council held November 14, 2023, and minutes of the special meeting of council held November 15, 2023. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councilor McClellan, Councilor Anderson. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we'll move on to public meeting. We have three for planning. The first one is ZW 2023W zoning bylaw amendment, vacant lot, Beach Road East. The purpose of the public meeting, in accordance with the Planning Act, a public meeting is held to present information regarding the proposed amendment to the public for council to receive comments from the public. Staff will not make a recommendation to council, and council will not make a decision on the proposed amendment at this evening's public meeting. A planning report will be brought forward by staff and considered by council at a later date. As a member of the public, you are welcome to request to be notified of any future meetings respecting the proposed amendment. Please provide your contact information on the sign-in sheet located at the back of council chambers. Please be advised that the sign-in information will form part of the public record. I will now ask the planner to provide details on the purpose of the proposed amendment and any written comments received.
Thank you, through you. So our first applications this evening is for a property on Beach Road East, known municipally as 11507, just across the street from 11507 Beach Road East. The property is currently vacant and is 0.12 acres in size. So the subject lands are designated as rural lands in the Niagara official plan, lakeshore residential and hazard lands in the township's official plan, and zoned residential lakeshore RLS C10 with a hazard overlay. So the purpose of the proposed amendment is to rezone the subject lands to a site-specific RLS C10-46 zone while maintaining the existing hazard overlay. So the site-specific exception, 46, proposes to permit the construction of an accessory building, being a detached garage, without the establishment of the primary use, being a dwelling, and subject to specific structure requirements. So the proposed garage site plan is shown on the screen. The application is proposing a maximum overall lot coverage of 21%, a maximum accessory building lot coverage of 21%, a minimum accessory building front yard setback of 3 meters, and a minimum accessory building side yard setback of 1.5 meters. And then in addition to those requests, the application also is proposing a maximum accessory building height of 6.9 meters, and the proposed elevation drawings are shown on your screen. So in terms of comments received from circulation of the application, so under the Planning Act, a notice of public meeting was mailed to property owners within 120 meters of the subject property, as well as a public notice board posted on the property. The application was also posted on the township's website under the public notices page and circulated to agencies and township departments for comment. To date, we have received the following comments. So the township bylaw enforcement officer had no objections or concerns. The township drainage department noted that the property is not assessed to municipal drain and therefore had no concerns or comments. Enbridge noted no objection to the proposed amendment, but did indicate that they reserved their right to amend the development conditions. And the Niagara region provided comments stating no objection, provided the tree protection fencing is installed prior to site alteration, and that would be addressed through the building permit application. There are still some pending agency and department comments, and these will be addressed in a future staff report.
Okay, thank you. Does the applicant wish to provide any comments regarding their application?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Stephen Rivers. I'm a registered professional planner. My address is 189 Clare Avenue, Port Colborne. I represent Mr. Bath and the owners of the property. My comments are going to be very short and sweet. As a result of the pre-consultation meeting, a tree preservation plan was prepared, recommendation to certainly protect a very large juniper tree to the east of the property and to deal with the dead ash that are on the property. In addition, an archaeological assessment was completed that identified no archaeological concerns on the property. Certainly, your staff has given you a fairly full review of what's being proposed, and in terms of the reviews that were undertaken, certainly myself and I assume your staff will look at it in terms of the requirements of the provincial planning policies, the Planning Act, the growth plan, the regional official plan, the township's official plan, and the township zoning bylaw. In my opinion, I believe this is a reasonable request to make use of an underutilized and largely unusable piece of property, and it's good planning. I'd be happy to answer any questions if I can.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rivers. Does a member of council have any questions or comments regarding the proposed amendment? Seeing none. Thank you. Is there anyone in the gallery who wishes to provide comment on the proposed amendment? No, seeing no further comments, I'll ask the planner to review the next step.
So as I indicated, a staff report regarding a complete review of the application will be brought forward at a later date. And then I just have one note regarding appeal rights. So if a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the public meeting and or make written submissions to the township regarding the proposed amendment before council gives or refuses to give approval to the application, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the township to the Ontario Land Tribunal and may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal unless the tribunal believes there are reasonable grounds to do so.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the public meeting for the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. If you wish to be notified of the decision of council regarding the proposed application, you must make a written request to the deputy clerk of the township. The next public meeting is Z0423W2023W zoning bylaw amendment 73982 Regional Road 45. I'll look to the planner to provide details on the purpose of the proposed amendment and any written comments received.
Thank you, through you. So the subject lands are located on the north side of Regional Road 45 between Wellandport Road and Regional Road 27. and as you indicated, is known municipally as 73982 Regional Road 45. So the subject lands are approximately 1.4 hectares in area and currently contains a single detached dwelling. The subject lands are designated as rural settlement in the Niagara Official Plan, village residential in the Township's Official Plan, and zoned Development D. The purpose of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application is to rezone the subject lands from the current Development D zone to a residential R1 zone. So I will note that the applicants have filed concurrent consent applications, which were provisionally approved by the Committee of Adjustment on November 15th. These applications propose to create a lot containing the existing dwelling and then 2 building lots. So the proposed amendment would allow for a single detached dwelling to be built on those building lots. In terms of comments received, so again, under the requirements of the Planning Act, property owners within 120 meters were mailed a notice, and a public notice board was installed on the property. The application materials were also posted on the website and circulated to agencies and township departments for comment. To date, we've received comments from the Township Bylaw Enforcement Officer, who noted no concern. The Drainage Department noted that the property is not assessed to a municipal drain, and so they had no concerns. Enbridge noted no objection, but again indicated they reserve the right to amend their development conditions. And Niagara Region noted no objection to both the consent applications as well as a proposed zoning amendment, as they considered the proposed use consistent with the provincial policy statement and conforming with provincial and regional policies.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to provide any comments regarding the application? Okay, all good. Does any member of council have any questions or comments regarding this proposed amendment? Seeing none. Seeing no further comments, I'll ask the planner to review next steps. Oh, the public, I'm sorry. Okay, is there anyone in the gallery who wishes to provide comment on the proposed amendment? Now we can go to the planner for next steps.
Thank you. So a staff report will be brought forward at a later date, which will contain a full review of the application and a recommendation for council's consideration. Again, the appeal right, if a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the public meeting and or make written submissions to the township regarding the proposed amendment before council gives or refuses to give approval to the application, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the township to the Ontario Land Tribunal and may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so.
Thank you. That concludes the public meeting for the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. If you wish to be notified of the decision of council regarding the proposed application, you must make a written request to the deputy clerk of the township. The next meeting is regarding Z052023W, zoning bylaw amendment for 52253 Meisner Road. I will look to the planner to provide details on the purpose of the proposed amendment and any written comments received.
Thank you, through you. So the subject lands are located on the east side of Meisner Road, between Wilford Road and Highway 3, and as you indicated, are known municipally as 52253 Meisner Road. The subject property is approximately 2.8 hectares in size and currently contains a single detached dwelling and some accessory buildings. The lands are designated as prime agricultural area in the Niagara Official Plan, agricultural area, environmental conservation area, and fish habitat under the Township's Official Plan, and zoned agricultural A2 with environmental conservation and fish habitat overlays. The applicant proposes to add a garden suite to the subject lands through a temporary use bylaw, which is a form of zoning amendment. So the application proposes to rezone the subject lands to a temporary site-specific agricultural A2-79 zone that would permit the garden suite for a period of up to 20 years as per the applicable provisions of the Planning Act. So the applicant has submitted a site plan showing the location of the proposed garden suite, which is proposed to be north of the existing dwelling with a separate entrance to Meisner Road. The proposed septic system for the garden suite will be located to the east, just behind the unit. In terms of the comments received, so again, under the requirements of the Planning Act, properties within 120 meters were provided a mail notice of outlining the application, and a public notice board was posted on the property. Again, it was also posted on the township's website and circulated to agencies and departments for comment. So the township bylaw enforcement officer noted some concern with the property condition and the RV trailers at the property. The officer requested clarification as to whether or not these trailers are being occupied and used as a dwelling unit, and noted that the property must be maintained to the standards of the Clean Yards bylaw. The township drainage superintendent noted that the property is assessed to the Beezer drain, with the drain traveling through a portion of the property. However, since the proposed location of the garden suite is not within the setback limits of the drain, there were no concerns with respect to the proposed amendment. And again, Enbridge had no objection, but indicated that they reserve the right to amend their development conditions. There are still some pending agency and department comments for this file, and so those will be addressed in a future staff report.
Thank you. Does the applicant wish to provide any comments regarding their application? Okay. Does any member of council have any questions or comments regarding the proposed amendment? I'll get to that. Is there anyone, well, there's no one else in the gallery except for, unless Ken wants to speak, but anyway, is there anyone in the gallery that wishes to provide comment on the proposed amendment? Seeing no further comments, I will now ask the planner to review next steps.
Thank you. So a staff report will be brought forward at a later date, providing a complete review of the application and recommendation for council's consideration. Again, the appeal right clause that I have to say, if a person or a public body does not make oral submissions at the public meeting and or make written submissions to the township regarding the proposed zoning amendment before council gives or refuses to give approval to the application, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the township to the Ontario Land Tribunal. It may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so.
Thank you. That concludes the public meeting for the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. If you wish to be notified of the decision of council regarding the proposed application, you must make a written request to the deputy clerk of the township. That concludes the public meetings. Well, there's one more regarding as far as planning. The final one is proposed 2023 general fees and charges, including building fees. The purpose of the public meeting is to provide information and gather public comments regarding the 2024 user fees and charges for bylaw and various municipal services and activities, and for the use of township property, and for proposed changes to the 2024 building permit fees. Notice of the public meeting was given and meets the requirements of Section 7 of the Building Code Act. Bylaw establishing new 2024 fees and charges is anticipated to be considered by council, with new fees and charges coming into effect January 1 of 2024. I'll now ask Mr. Hart to provide an overview of the proposed changes and the 2024 user fees and charges and building permit fees.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Good evening, councillors and Chair and members of the public. So the purpose of this report is just to implement the 2024 user fees, a summary of the changes. For the most part, fees were just increased by inflationary 3%. Depending on rounding, it could have been 4% or 2%. There was some cleanup of the fees, some minor corrections. There was a few fees added as a result of them being on separate bylaws. But for the most part, the updates for the 2024 are status quo.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions or comments from members of council? Councilor Anderson.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. I'm just wondering, Chief, the two new fire additions, were they created to cover the short-term rental situation?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, that's correct. The fire safety plan review and approval, that was created because all of the short-term rentals have to have fire safety plans. And as required under the FPPA, the chief fire official has the authority to review and approve those. So obviously, if we have a substantial influx of those plans coming in that would need review and approval, that's the fee that covers that. The second one is any development plans reviews. That one was born out of the pre-con. If you may recall, council had passed a policy or a fee regarding pre-cons. Part of that is as we just went through these public meetings, you see that there's a agency and department reviews that have to go into these, and quite often when we receive these, there's several meetings that go into it. There's staff time that goes into reviewing the applications and staff time to prepare our comments. So again, I mean, it's one of those, if we're going to have staff time to provide those reviews, then the applicant should be responsible for those costs.
Anything further, Councilor Anderson? Carry on.
If I may continue, Deputy Mayor. Under the, I believe, planning section, K, the document states that billing back to consultants would be charged through and secured through the consultants. I'm just wondering, going forward, we're coming back to some MOU situations. I'm not really sure the one that we, this might be for Ms. Earl. I'm just wondering if the MOU that has the region is stepping down to do some sort of consulting or assisting with us, would that fee go back to the application?
Thank you, Councillor, and through you, Deputy Mayor. That was originally included in the previous fees and charges bylaw. Quite often there will be fees charged to the township from external consultants and or legal fees that get charged back to the individual applicant. So no, it wasn't necessarily in relation to any new service level agreements that were taken into consideration, but yes, we do sometimes have to have a third party or a peer review, for example, which gets charged back to the applicant.
So if I may continue, Deputy Mayor. So the MOU stated that the region would look to possibly having a fiscal charge if they came down and when we're giving advice. So what, just to clarify, is that considered a consulting fee back to application, or is that something that we would pay?
Thank you, Councillor, and through you, Deputy Mayor. Are you referring to the new service level agreement that was presented to council, or the existing MOU that was already signed and currently in force and effect?
No, I'm referring to the one that we tabled.
The new one. Thank you. So through you, the answer to that is, excuse me, the region would be performing the same level of review service at the cost of the applicant. So similar to a development review fee that they charge today, they would be submitting the same review fee to us, which we remit to the region on a semi-annual or whatever the Treasury Department decides to agree upon remittance check. Right now, the consulting fee that was included in that service level agreement was that kind of third-party review. We would likely not use that often because we don't use that now, so I don't see that changing as far as our function with our roles and responsibilities through the development review.
So if I may continue, Deputy Mayor, so that dollar structure suggested in the MOU, should we proceed, that would be something charged through and made aware to the applicants that is payable by them?
Through you. It depends on the type of service that we would require at the time. Most of the consulting fees may be something of the nature where we would have to have a review for maybe an urban design document or something of that nature that would have a greater, larger public good or public interest. Everything that it would be site-specific application related will be borne by the applicant.
And thank you, Ms. Earl.
Any comments from anyone else? No. Is there any, there's no one in the gallery, but is there anyone in the gallery who wishes to provide comment? I don't think so. Okay, we'll look to the planner to review the next steps. Well, I'm sorry. My apologies. I am one behind myself until I don't do this. Here we go. Okay, I declare the public meeting closed. Council will be considering a report on the proposed 2024 user fees and charges and building permit fees in the report section of the agenda. This concludes our public meeting portion of the agenda. We'll move on to staff reports and recommendations. Administrative staff report, ASR 015-2023, RE 2024 proposed user fees and charges. Mr. Hart, didn't we just do this? Okay, carry on.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So as I just previously discussed, I think this is just the report to go over the changes to the various fees and charges, and we're just looking for direction. The recommended option is to approve as presented.
Okay, I have a motion that report ASR 015-2023 regarding the proposed user fees and charges be received, and that council approve the recommended user fees and charges contained within Appendix A of the report, and that the general fees and charges bylaw attached as Appendix B be approved. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Van Vliet, Councillor McClellan. Any discussion? Further discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Carried. Next report is ASR 016-2023 RE 2022 Auditor's Report and Draft Financial Report. Mr. Hart, can you please provide a brief overview of that report?
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor. So we've completed the 2022 audit, and we've received our auditor's report and draft financial report or financial statements. The report concluded that our statements present fairly, and we got an unqualified audit opinion. I will also note that there was substantially less entries in this year end, and essentially, again, kind of status quo statements. Within my report as well, I have given a recommended allocation of the operating surplus. This coincides with my recommendations in the Q3 report as well as the 2024 budget to help fund the capital projects and put back into our reserve balances. I will note that I did get an email from the auditors that there was an $8,000 correction just in the note. It didn't require any entries or changes to the surplus or equities, but the transfers will be $8,000 less than the report states in the final copy in the final financial statements. So any questions from council?
I have a motion that report ASR 016-2023, the 2022 Auditors Report, Council Communication and Audit Strategy and results be received, and that Council approve the 2022 Draft Financial Report, and the Council approve the recommended allocation of the operating surplus into the reserve funds outlined in this report. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Anderson, Councillor McClellan. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Next report is ASR 017-2023, RE the 2023 Consolidated Budget Report. Mr. Hart, can you please provide a brief overview of that report?
Good evening. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. After our budget deliberations on the 14th and 15th, staff received some directions to make some changes in the operating and capital budget. In a few words, the project funding and the capital budgets were just changed around to reflect $50,000 in grant projects for the rehabilitation trailer. And so the overall effect is $50,000 less used in reserves and an increase in $50,000 grants. There was some housekeeping to the GL accounts for buildings, council chambers, and buildings municipal office to consolidate those to better reflect the costs of this building that we are in. Other than that, there were no changes to the operating or capital levies. That is all. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion that ASR 017-2023 be received and that the 2024 operating budget levy as outlined in Appendix A with a net budget of $6,481,664, which is an increase of $266,466 or 3.2%. Be approved, and that the 2024 infrastructure budget levy is outlined in Appendix A with a budget levy of $1,441,131, an increase of $167,244 or 2%. Levy be approved, and that the 2024 capital levy budget as outlined in Appendix A with a levy budget of $1,119,900, an increase of $247,245 or 3% levy be approved, and that the 2024 capital budget as outlined in Appendix B with a total capital commitment and recommended funding of $5,726,127 be approved, and that the 2024 consolidated budget with an overall levy increase of 5.9%, net of assessment growth of 2.2% be approved. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Anderson, Councillor McClellan, any discussion? Councillor McClellan, go ahead.
If you look at the roads needs study, and over the next 10 years, they're telling us we got to come up with $3.6 million a year to keep our roads where they are right now. We need to throw another 0.25% a year or 0.5% a year in to get to that number. We're going to be short on roads. Our roads are going to fall apart. If you read that study, I went through it again last night, and went through it again here to get the numbers right. And when I talked to Richard, that still doesn't give us anything for the bridges that need to get built and fixed over the next 10 years. We're going to run short. I know nobody wants to raise this any more than what it is, but I think we got to give it some serious consideration, because on the bridges, over the next 10 years, we got to put $725,000 a year in just to keep the bridges that we need to repair in the next 10 years. That's not all the bridges. That's the ones that are there that say they need to be done in the next 10 years. So I don't know if we can look at this and add another 0.5% to go into the fund, so we go from 2% to 2.5%. Maybe for the next 4 years we're going to have to, because we're going to need 4% to do what we're doing. And that's provided our fire department does, or anybody else doesn't come up with any big, that's just for our roads to stay in shape. So I don't know if you want to look at that, or I didn't have this roads report when we were doing this last week, so.
Yeah, well, we'll get some input from the treasurer, and then we'll let's let them speak, and then we'll come back to you, Councillor Anderson.
Thank you. So through the Deputy Mayor to all of Council, staff will definitely take direction from Council. My recommendation would be to increase the infrastructure levy, which is compounding. I think that would be the most appropriate place to put this at this time, and it would help grow the dollars quicker to be able to kind of accomplish what Councillor McClellan is suggesting, or to better position us to do that.
Yeah, we're not going to have enough money if we don't, right? So,
Councillor Anderson, go ahead.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Thank you, Mallory. That's exactly what I was thinking. I'd like to see the compounding rollover. Maybe possibly, if the rest of council are interested, we could have some sort of brief synopsis or report when you get the time. I don't think it's all that urgent because we're doing and finished our year end, but what sort of just levy pressure that may bring going forward in the sense of dollars to levy to go up that much. I'm just interested if we put 0.5% on 0.5, what's the dollar value on that?
So through the mayor, deputy mayor to Councillor Anderson, it's approximately $40,000 for 0.5%. Sorry, I didn't have my actual budget document with me because this is
fine.
where I thought we were headed, but
And I'm sorry for,
no.
yeah.
Any other comments? My comment would be, I certainly don't disagree. I know we didn't have that report. It's up to you. I would think that possibly we might be better served by just letting this one run its course and seeing where we land, and then take this matter up, increasing the infrastructure levy in future years. I'm not opposed to it. I mean, I need a motion to change where we're at, but and I have some reluctance to do it in the absence of the mayor. Go ahead, Mallory.
So through the deputy mayor to all of council, again, staff will take direction from council, but one thing to note too is that we are improving our asset management plan as we speak. So perhaps by the next, or definitely by the next time that we go through a budget cycle, we'll have a lot more information in terms of a fulsome picture of all of the assets, and it'll be easier to identify in terms of how much we're going to be needing for certain asset classes year over year, as opposed to just looking at some of these independent studies, and then we can prioritize. And these numbers are the numbers, and these are definitely the needs, but that will give a more fulsome picture, including equipment, fleet, as well as all township assets.
It's up to you guys. I just look at it, and we're not going to have enough money.
Through you, Chair. I'm not disagreeing with you either, Councillor, but we don't have enough money ever. We never have, because we've had 25, 30 years of almost 0% increase. We all loved it then. Now we have to pay the piper, right? So our roads are going to fall apart, our bridges are going to fall apart, our fire department's going to be lacking. This is what we've been looking at for 30 years, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm just thinking maybe we should let this one ride as it is instead of adding more pressure to people.
No, I get that, but I would just wish we had had this report a week of the last council meeting. I'm pretty sure things would have been different. Yeah, the town doesn't buy lottery tickets.
And I would just note that this council and the one previous, and to some extent the one before that, started this ball rolling, and there's been a lot of heavy lifting that's been done in the past 10 years, and we're on the right path. So I don't think that this meeting is the time to make this change. I understand where you're coming from, and I fully, and you know that I fully support, the capital infrastructure levy. But I tend to agree with the treasurer. Let's just let this one pass through, and they can take your comments under advisement, and we'll continue to do what we've been doing until the end of our term.
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. If we don't do it now, next year means we got to go to 1%, because we had to play catch-up. That's what we've been doing our last term, and it's, I get it. I understand it's bad. Times are tough, but they're always tough. And at some point, so next year, we're going to have to ask for 1% to go in, because we've got to get enough money to make this happen, or you're not going to have bridges fixed, you're not going to have roads fixed, they're going to, what you don't fix now, 2 years from now, they're in worse shape. 3 years from now, they're gone. And then you got to start all over again, and especially on the tar and chip roads. So, like, I know Richard has been getting the short end of what should be getting every year, and it's not happening, and we're losing what we have. You know, it's either men that fix them now or rebuild them completely. So I'll agree with you. We got this too late, and we've already gone through this, and this is probably, the mayor's not here, it's probably not the time to do this, but I just, after reading it last night and going through the numbers with Richard, we should be doing it, but I'll agree not to do it, just to get this budget passed.
Councilor Anderson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My preference is to see a full-scoped asset management plan with a long-term line, maybe a 5-10-year build-out at your leisure, Treasurer Hart. And as far as the 0.5% of the 40,000, I realize it rolls and accumulates, but maybe a simple solution to solve that is that we look to, on our next capital budget, put in an extra 40,000 and catch up Councillor McClellan's 0.5% of money on next year's capital, not the infrastructure. The infrastructure fund is a different animal, but we can catch your 40,000. But I'd like to see fulsome reports for future expenditures and proposals. Thank you.
Okay, in the absence of a new motion, we're going to vote on this one, unless there's any further discussion. Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving on to ASR 018-2023, RE closed meeting investigator contract renewal. Ms. Kirkham, will you provide a brief report?
Thank you.
Brief overview of your report.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor, 12th Council. This report is a routine report that is seeking approval of the renewal of a contract between the Township and Local Authority Services Limited for closed meeting investigator services. Although the Township has retained this service with LAS since 2008, the last closed meeting investigation took place in 2012. Staff are seeking approval of the renewal until December of 2025. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I have a motion that Administrative Staff Report ASR 018-2023 respecting closed meeting investigator contract renewal with Local Authority Services Limited be received, and that the current contract between the Township of Wainfleet and LAS for closed meeting investigator services be renewed for a 2-year term ending on December 31, 2025. Mover and seconder. Councillor Van Vliet, Councillor McClellan. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Next administrative report is ASR 019-2023, RE indemnification bylaw. Mr. Colossa, will you please provide a brief overview of your report?
Through you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. An indemnification bylaw for the township has been on my radar for a number of years now, and I wanted to try and get it in front of you prior to my exit. Indemnification bylaws are basically a means by which the township will help protect individually named members of council, volunteers, members of local boards, or staff who may be named in lawsuits or become part of litigation in a suit against the municipality. It hasn't happened here yet, but more and more often with the increasing litigation that's happening across Canada, people are suing not only the municipality, but the decision makers located within the municipality. The township does maintain an insurance program to help cover those contingencies, but there are times, the thing to keep in mind is those insurance policies that we have in place are really intended to protect the corporation, and sometimes the individuals don't always get the sort of protection or coverage they need. So that's why the Municipal Act does have provisions that allow municipalities to indemnify its officers and agents. And at this time, most municipalities in the province have such bylaws in place. So this is being presented to you as a sort of a housekeeping update with a recommendation that council enact such a bylaw to protect members of council, volunteers, members of local boards and commissions, as well as employees in cases where they are named in litigation, independent of the municipality.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion that ASR 019-2023 regarding an indemnification bylaw be received, and that the bylaw to provide for the indemnification and defense of members of council and employees of the corporation of the Township of Wainfleet against liability incurred while acting on behalf of the corporation be presented to council for consideration and approval. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor McClellan, Councillor Anderson. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Moving on to public works staff reports. PWSR 017-2022, 3. RA Community Safety Zone request. Mr. Nan, can you please provide a brief overview of your report?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and members of council. Before you is Public Works Staff Report 017-2023 respecting the Community Safety Zone requested for Side Road 20 and Park Street. Staff have reviewed the potential of creating safety zones along these stretches of road, and staff performed the data collection over a 4-week period, and the data collected indicated that the majority of traffic utilized Side Road 20 from Feeder Road to the sports complex in a southerly direction. This may be attributed to the gravel road surface that it's on the south end leading to the sports complex. During the 4-week period, we definitely saw an increase of traffic during the baseball and soccer programs, and it was identified that the increase was between the hours of 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. The traffic volumes on the segment of feeder to the sports complex increased by an annual average daily traffic volume from 57 to 299 vehicles. When the data collected was applied to the warrant process, staff did not, at the time, identify conditions sufficient to warrant the establishment of the community safety zone. Staff have also reviewed the current traffic bylaws pertaining to the road segments in the affected area and did find an anomaly that may be corrected and is a recommendation in this report.
Thank you. I have a motion that report PWSR 017-2023 respecting a community safety zone request be received, and that a bylaw to amend Schedule H of the traffic bylaw number 010-2018 to include Park Street from Sugarloaf Street to Side Road 20 with a maximum speed of 40 kilometers per hour be presented to council for ratification at the next available meeting. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor McClellan and Councillor Van Vliet. Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? That's carried. PWSR 018-2023 RE Road Needs Study results. Mr. Nan, will you please provide a brief overview of that report?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and members of council. Through you, as council is aware, the township engaged the services of GM Blue Plan to conduct a roads needs study on the township's entire road network. I apologize that I couldn't get to you before budget, but the initial preparation of the tender bids didn't anticipate budget's being moved up this close. The roads need study will assist staff in preparing short and long-term planning for road work in the future. Council will be able to review the recommendations and have the knowledge of forecasted future budget expenditures in advance to make prudent financial decisions. Staff will additionally utilize the roads need study data to update the road patrol records and documents to reflect the changes in the road classifications. The new roads need study will also be utilized in setting the levels of service offered by the township to meet the obligations set out in the minimum maintenance standards for municipal highways in the Ontario Regulation 239-02.
Thank you. I have a motion that Public Works Staff Report PWSR 018-2023 respecting the results of the road needs study be received, and that council direct staff to utilize the road needs study and implement recommendations contained within to establish and prioritize future road rehabilitation projects. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councilor Anderson, Councilor McClellan. Any further discussion? Councilor Anderson, go ahead.
Just through, this is putting you on the spot a little bit, Richard, but the roads that we budgeted in this year, were any of them a now? And were they all included in sort of the fair and poor 1 to 5? Like, I didn't have time to look that up, so I'm putting you on the seat.
Through your worship, or sorry, through Deputy Mayor to call up council.
Much better.
I apologize. I did receive a draft copy as we were preparing the budget preparations. And I did include the majority of the needs that are identified in the new roads need study. Some of those roads were in the old roads need study already. So we did include a couple of additional ones that were identified in this one. But again, it was a last minute effort to try and include them in the budget. But the ones that are identified in our budget this year are included in the now needs in the new roads need study.
Thank you, Richard.
Any further comments? Okay, seeing none, call the question. All in favor? That's carried. Review of correspondence, there is none. Bylaws. I have a motion that the following bylaws be read and passed this 21st day of November 2023. First one, bylaw number 047-2023, being a bylaw to establish and regulate payment of various fees and charges within the Township of Wainfleet. Bylaw number 048-2023, being a bylaw to provide for the indemnification and defense of members of council and employees of the corporation of the Township of Wainfleet against liability incurred while acting on behalf of the corporation of the municipality. Can I have a mover and a seconder for those? Councilor Van Vliet, Councilor McClellan. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Are there any notices of motion from any members of council? Seeing none. Closed meeting. I have a motion that the council now move into closed session to discuss a item under section 239-2B of the Municipal Act 2001, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. One item, application review for Niagara Transit Commission Public Advisory Committee, and B, the minutes of a closed meeting of council held on November 1st, 2023. Can I have a mover and seconder? Councilor Van Vliet, Councilor McClellan. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Carried. Okay.